I'll talk natural.
We hear you very good.
So far, so good. But my throat wants a break from Kippur. So my suggestion is everybody eat, stay quiet, comments, questions later, hand signal later, and then we'll take care of everybody accordingly. Tizkol Shanim Rabot Kahal Kadosh. Today, Friday, the 12th day of Tishrei, corresponding to the 7th of October. Today's class, graciously sponsored by the Ben Melech family. Le'ilui Nishmat, is a father-in-law, Mr. Mendel Gorin, alav shalom, Menachem Mendel ben El Hanan. That today is his askara. Iratzon to the words of Torah, his neshama, have an aliyah in Gan Eden. Amen. Maybe many people heard of him because he was very instrumental in building our mikveh and our second floor midrash couple of years back, and unfortunately at a young age he returned his soul to the Almighty. So Be'ezat Hashem, his neshama will have an aliyah in Gan Eden. Amen. So we are going to continue discussing a topic that we began yesterday. Thank you so much. Hello. Beautiful. Now, if I put it here, beautiful. Can you hear me? Yeah. If I put it here, I should put it here. That's the easiest way for me.
That's the best.
The best, right? Look, I have a self-blown clean.
Leave it there.
Maybe I should put it here. You got two nostrils. Okay, let's go into serious note.
It's a little bit loud.
I know, but I can't control it from here.
Now here.
Hello? Yeah, lower volume. Okay, thank you. Hello? Perfect, thank you. So we know that there is a mitzvah from the Torah to take the arba'at haminim, the four species, the lulav, the etrog, the hadas, and the araba. And we'll save more information, hopefully for Sunday, when we'll discuss the different messages that each one of these items brings upon the person, how they connect to the body of the person, how they connect to different midot of the person, and very later we'll speak about it Sunday and throughout Yom Tov. There is a pasuk that says, "Ulkahtem lachem bayom harishon." We know there is a halakha that the lulav and etrog, you must pay for it. You must pay for it.
Not from Maaser,
not from Maaser,
from Tzedakah.
And not from Tzedakah. The pasuk says, "Ulkahtem lachem." You have to take for yourself. Lachem mishel lachem. It needs to be your own ownership. Now, what happens if a person comes to you the first day of the holiday and say, "Can I borrow your lulav and etrog?" You have to say no. Rule number one, you say no, I don't lend. Number one. Number two, if it's the first day, it's your mitzvah. So you take priority over anyone else. You do the mitzvah first, and after that, you give it to the person as a gift. And it's called in the halakha, matana al menat le'ahazir. A conditional gift. I'm gifting this to you. So this is considered technically yours, but as soon as you finish, you must return it to me. That is the basic concept of the halakha. Today, we are blessed that we live in a generation that Baruch Hashem, to have a lulav and etrog is very affordable and very easy. Many years back, I'm sure many of you remember these days, that synagogues probably had 2 or 3 sets.
Yeah.
Today, families have 2 or 3 sets. And it's a mitzvah to have your own set. And that's what the pasuk says, "Ulkahtem lachem." It says, you take for yourself by Yom Harishon, on the first day of Sukkot. Needless to say, that if Sukkot happens to be on Shabbat, So that day we are exempt, but the way Sukkot is going to be this year, you do the mitzvah the first day, and you say Shehiyanu on the first day, and the second day we continue with the mitzvot. Interesting enough, it says in the Midrash Tanhuma that it says that Rishon leheshbon avonot. Sukkot becomes the new accounting system for sins. What does that mean? As the Midrash Tanhuma, I don't understand. Kippur finish on Wednesday night. Sukkot will be Sunday night. So what happens with Thursday, Friday, Shabbat, and Sunday? You're going to tell me that God doesn't count the sins that we did between the end of Kippur and Sunday evening? Bechi HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Batran Hu? Are you telling me that God gives you the freedom to do sins? And you're going to tell me that there is no accountability between Kippur and Sukkot? Halila. God forbid that a person will assume, you know what, I have this leniency that I'm allowed to commit transgressions for the next 2-3 days because the new chapter in my life begins in Sukkot. It says the Shalah HaKadosh the following. You know what the Shalah says? That God's Kippur does not finish when we finish Ne'ilah. God's Kippur does not finish when we finish Ne'ilah. We finish Ne'ilah in order to break the Ta'anit and to make Abdallah, Birkat HaLevana, go home and break the fast. But God's Kippur mode lasts till Erev Sukkot. It's an unbelievable Hidush.
Even if it's Shabbat in between?
No, Sukkot.
Even if it's Shabbat in between?
Sure. What does it mean, God's Kippur? God is in a forgiving mode. A person may say, okay, Kippur finished, turn the chapter, new Avon, the night of Motza'e Kippur. I'm going to ask you a question. You don't have to answer. I'll do the talking today. Thank you. At the end of Kippur, we begin with Arvit. Behu Rahum Yechaper Avon. May the merciful one atone for my sins. I ask you a question. You just finished fasting 25 hours. You were at the synagogue for most of the day. You had a good behavior. You didn't do nothing wrong. So then you tell God, God forgive me. Which Avon did you do? I'm going to tell you the Avon. Running through Arvit. The first Avon that we do on Motza'e Kippur, but God knows already, pick up the fastest Hazan to do Arvit and don't breathe in between pages. That's Beurahum. It's true. It is true. Right?
He wants to do Hazan because I will do it fast.
Guess what? The fastest Hazan is not the best. You're an inspiring Hazan. So I want you to take tips from me. Not from the guy that's looking at the clock.
No turbo.
Not turbo and not fifth gear. It is nice to pray properly. It is beautiful to sing to Hashem. But if a person reads too fast, chances of swallowing words increase tremendously. But you know what my biggest fear is? I'm a fast reader. Baruch Hashem, I believe that I read good. You be the judge. But guess what? Maybe you can read fast, but maybe somebody else cannot. And if they just turn the page, that's not a prayer. That's not a Shema. That is a mitzvah from the Torah. And I tell our Hazanim, sing less and give me a nice kosher Shema. Don't do Shema in 1.5 minutes and do Nishmat in 7 minutes. Because you're defeating the whole purpose of the tefillah. I'm not telling you to schlep the tefillah neither. Schlepping the tefillah, which in English means dragging the prayers, maybe 20 years ago was what people wanted. Today, we live in a society that patience is almost non-existent. Why not? Because we live with immediate results. You want something from Amazon, a gift card? Print. You want something 2 hours delivery, Publix? You'll get it. You want Walmart delivery for $4.99 in an hour? You'll get it. In other words, we learn to a certain extent to be less patient and tolerant that maybe 5 or 10 years ago, that mailing a letter was the norm. Sending a fax was the norm. Going to the post office to send your light bill payment was the norm. Today, you transfer money. Can you pay with a credit card? No, give me Zelle. No credit card waiting. I want Zelle. I want Venmo. I don't, Hasbi Shalom. Thank God, patience is one of the things that I have to a certain extent. I'm human also. But I understand that patience, the way the Belay Yoes writes, is not an option. It's a mandatory requirement to have in life. In marriage, in parenting, in the rabbinate. With people, sometimes you need more sablanut, sometimes you need less sablanut. But let's go back to the Hazanim. Fasting, in other words, reading the prayers very fast, maybe you don't make mistakes, but I guarantee you that if I go around the room and I ask you, are you able to read to follow the Hazan? Many people will tell me, I can't keep up with the Hazan. And that's a huge responsibility. And I'm looking at 3 wonderful junior Hazanim of 4, yes, you and him. 4 junior Hazanim, that they know what they are doing. They are boys with Yirat Shamayim. They learn Torah every day. They are in the synagogue literally every day, or they are in the high school, in the yeshiva. And they have beautiful voices. And they pray with makam. You want to listen to them?
Yes.
Come Shabbat to the Tins Minyan. If they let you come in, you can enjoy the listening. Because that is a Tins Minyan only.
You need to get ticket.
You need to get approval. Maybe in the holiday, we'll open the doors, okay? Okay? So you come and you listen to the beautiful pronunciation, the beautiful reading, and the proper pace that Hazanim need to have. And that's what we say, Motza'e Kippur, in advance. God, I'm doing it fast because I have 400 or 500 people on Kippur. This is what happened to me. We reached Kippur, and God made a mega miracle. We had an option. Either we do Birkat Kohanim on a timely manner, which is a beautiful thing to do in Kippur, or we speak and we do a fundraising for something that we were looking for. We decided Kohanim priority. But I also adjusted my speech, and thank God, in less than a minute, we did 80% of what we needed to do. And I attribute the miracle because we prioritize the proper tefillah and also to finish on time. Because believe me, somebody came to me yesterday complaining, not about us, Baruch Hashem, that he happened to be in a different synagogue for Kippur, and they finished the ta'anit, the prayers, maybe 20 or 30 minutes after. I said, maybe they do Rabbeinu Tam. True. There are synagogues who do Rabbeinu Tam. Rabbi Yosef writes that Kippur requires Rabbeinu Tam. So I said, did you pray in a synagogue who does Rabbeinu Tam? He says, I don't know. But I know that I only got home at 8:30. And my oath, the ta'anit finished at 7:45. So a person also needs to be conscientious when you deal with the sibur. I may do certain things for myself, but I don't put them on the sibur. Why? because not everybody in the Sipur is able to dance at the same music as the rabbi. And this was something that we learned from the great Hachamim. Among them, Hacham Mordechai Eliyahu, Aleinu Shalom, Hacham Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Shidoron, all these tzaddikim that I believe all of us heard of them, and met them perhaps, they were tzaddikim for the masses, but they were tzaddikim for themselves. So it says the Shalah Kadosh, and it says, be aware that these 4 days or 5 days between Kippur and Sukkot, they are very special days that God says that in the zechut of you being busy with me, God says. What does it mean, being busy with God? Building the sukkah, the arba'at aminim, preparing for the holiday, doing whatever it needs to be done. God says, you're taking care of me, I will take care of you. And that's why I mentioned this in the night of the end of Kippur, something that we discussed very briefly yesterday, how tomorrow or yesterday it's called, according to Kabbalistic sources, the day of God. The day after Kippur is called the day of God. What does it mean, the day of God? Isn't every day a day of God? True. But the day after Kippur, the person can show their commitment to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And it goes further and it says, the wise men should spend the proper time in these days for the sukkah, for the lulav, for the etrog, and do what you need to do, including spending money. Now, what does it mean, spending money? I think that it means for your mitzvot. Build your sukkah. If the schach is not good, buy a mat of schach. If you have an opportunity, buy a nice lulav and etrog. Prepare for the holiday, and comes the Mekubalim, and it says something that a fascinating hidush. We know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us makeup opportunities. We have Elul, beautiful. Rosh Hashanah, beautiful. Then we have the days in between. Then we have Kippur. Now we are learning that we have between Kippur and Sukkot. Then comes Sukkot. What do we have at the end of Sukkot? Hoshana Rabbah. Hoshana Rabbah is another makeup day. So it says in the name of Rabbeinu Chaim Vital, and it says that the conclusion of the judgment that began in Rosh Hashanah, it actually concludes in Hoshana Rabbah. That's why it's called Hoshana Rabbah, the great salvation, the 51 day from Rosh Chodesh Elul. And therefore, the book of the living is still open, and the judgment did not end on its final stage. So we need to be thankful to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and I'm giving you word by word from Rabbeinu Chaim Vital and Rabbeinu Hari, that we need to be thankful to HaKadosh Baruch Hu that God gave us an extra bonus round called the days of Sukkot to do Teshuvah. Comes Yeshaya HaNavi, Yeshaya the prophet, and it says the following pasuk: Dirshu Hashem behimaseo. Look for God and you will find them. What are the days that I can look for God and I'll find God? Excellent answer. Aseret Yemei Teshuvah. What do you call Aseret Yemei Teshuvah? Usually, we call Aseret Yemei Teshuvah the days between Kippur, Rosh Hashanah, and Kippur. Rosh Hashanah and Kippur. Says Shara Kabbanot, hold on a minute. If I count from Tzom Gedalia, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Shabbat, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday evening is Kippur, I have only 7 days. I don't have 10 days. So what is the pasuk telling me about the 10 days? It says the Shalah Kadosh, Deka'e al asara hayamim sheben Yom Kippurim behoshana Rabbah. the 10 days of Teshuvah. This is, good morning. The 10 days, I'll be done in 15 minutes. Thank you. The 10 days of Teshuvah, or less actually. Thank you so much. The 10 days of Teshuvah are the 10 days between Kippur and Hoshana Rabbah. Most of us, for most of our life, when we say Aseret Yemei Teshuvah, what did we think? The days between Rosh Hashanah and Kippur. Now he's telling us, no. If you want to go to that route, so then you need to add 2 days of Rosh Hashanah, plus the 7 days in between, plus Kippur, that's 10 days. The Shalach Kadosh says no. 10 yamim sheben Kippur leHoshana Rabbah. Goes further and it says, Hoshana Rabbah nikra Yom HaKippurim. Hoshana is Kippur, with one difference, that we stay up all night. We do Selichot in every one of the Hakafot. And that's why in the night of Hoshana Rabbah that we stay up all night, we read the Tehillim, we do Selichot. Kam Shaharit, we do Shaharit, 7 Hakafot, 7 Selichot in between. And it says, these are 10 days which are also the offspring of Teshuvah. And he goes on to explain that both of them are connected to Teshuvah. From Rosh Hashanah till Yom Kippur, 10 days. From Yom Kippur till Hoshana Rabbah, 10 days. And where do I learn this from? From the letter Yod. The letter Yod. The letter Yod is a very small letter. But what if I have to spell out the word Yod? How do I write the word Yod? Yod, Vav Dalet. 10 plus 6 plus 4, how much is that? 20. 10, 6, 4, 20. He says, you know what the Shalach Kadosh writes? 20 days between Rosh Hashanah and Hoshana Rabbah. 10 days from Rosh Hashanah till Kippur, and 10 days from Kippur till Hoshana Rabbah. Ah, you may ask, hold on a minute. Hold on. Hoshana Rabbah is on the 21st day, not on the 20th day. True, but I'm double dipping in Kippur. I do Rosh Hashanah till Kippur, Kippur till Hoshana Rabbah. Hidush. Never heard before. Remember this. I'm so happy with you. Wow. So it says the Kedushat Levi that we still are in Teshuvah mode, with one exception. That the Teshuvah from Motza'e Kippur till Hoshana Rabbah is Teshuvah me'ahava. Is Teshuvah of love. We never knew this before you got here today, did you? And maybe some of us regretted, thank you, regretted that maybe we didn't do enough Teshuvah in Kippur. So now the Shalah and Rabbeinu Chaim Vital and Rabbeinu Hari is telling us, relax. Your Teshuvah after Kippur till Hoshana Rabbah is greater than the Teshuvah between Rosh Hashanah and Kippur. Now how can it be greater? I think the answer is obvious. The Teshuvah between Rosh Hashanah and Kippur is fear. And fear of judgment. The Teshuvah between Kippur and Hoshana Rabbah is an opportunity to upgrade my judgment. It's like you sign in pencil. What happens if you sign in pencil?
Maybe erase.
Hazaku Baruch. It can be erased. When it comes to Hoshana Rabbah, I use ink. Understand the difference? Pencil, it's erasable. Ink, it's not erasable. Although today you have erasable ink. So be careful when you write a check. Don't write it with erasable ink. Okay? That's a different show. So it says, comes Yeshuot Yaakov and concludes with a fascinating message from the Mishnah in Pirkei Avot. He quotes the Agra, the Gaon of Vilna, the famous Gaon of Vilna. And it says, Da lifnei mi ata atid latet din beheshbon. Be aware that one day the person will meet the Creator. That's what the Mishnah writes. Sofa Adam Lamut. We come with a round trip ticket. We are lucky. Excuse me. We are very fortunate that we are alive. Meaning to say that we have the zechut and the potential that Mashiach comes in our days. Those that left the world, they are no longer among us physically. They are among us in spirit, as we learn in Kippur. But physically, they are gone. But we are here. So the fact that we are here is a good sign. But God forbid, when a person leaves the world, what happens? He has an interview with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. An interview. So tell me, how was your life in Olam Hazeh? That's what it means. Beda, remember, in front of who you need to give a report of your actions. Now, the Mishnah says, Din beheshbon. What's the meaning of the word din? Judgment. And what's the meaning of the word heshbon? Calculations. So I don't understand. Isn't judgment and calculation the same? How do I reach judgment? I need to calculate. How many years you lived? How many mitzvot did you do? How many averot did you do? Based on that, we'll have a magic number, like a tax return. Right? Hamavdil. You have a tax return, you put your incomes, then you put your deductions. You can do standardized deduction, or you can do an itemized deduction. It all depends on your type of business. But at the end of the day, the final number will give you a financial picture of the person. That's the reason why mortgage companies, when you apply for a mortgage loan, what they ask you to bring? Income tax returns for the past 2 years or 3 years, and paychecks, pay stubs, to demonstrate your income. You want from me $1 million, okay? Okay? Now, how do I know that you are a person that has the capability of paying? So I got to do din beheshbon. I got to look at your figures. I got to look at your paycheck and look at your payroll or tax return, and based on that, what kind of customers are you? Then I run the credit score. If you have 750 and up, you're a good guy. But if you have 400 to 500, you may be a danger, financially speaking, right? That's how they calculate. And that's why some people have a great credit rating. They may get a lower interest rate because you're a low-risk customer. But if a person has low credit score, the lower the credit score, the higher the interest. I'm not trying to give you a mortgage Shulchan Aruch, but I'm using this mashal so we can understand what is the meaning of this Mishnah in Pirkei Avot. There is an additional explanation that din and heshbon are two separate concepts. Din is what did you do? Okay, what did you do? You did X amount of mitzvot, you did X amount of averot. This is din. Heshbon is the scary part. You know what heshbon means? What you could have done. What you could have done. Can you settle to be an average person? Let's see who you could have been. That's the scary part of heshbon. Heshbon means calculating if you would have utilized your time and your potential in a better way. Did you believe in yourself or you did not believe in yourself? Did you go with the flow or you took a stand for whatever is right? So comes the Gaon of Vilna and it says that this concept of din beheshbon is exactly what I just described. What you did and what you could have done. Maybe instead of doing an avon, you could have done a mitzvah. It's not easy to do this, by the way. It's not easy. I'm only telling you what the Gaon of Vilna said. So it says that Borei Olam gives the zechut to the person in these days to do teshuvah out of love. Not because you have the fear of Rosh Hashanah, not because you have the fear of Aseret Yemei Teshuvah or Yom Kippur. Rosh Hashanah, Aseret Yemei Teshuvah, Kippur are behind us. Now I'm more calm. That's why Sukkot it's called what? Zeman Simchatenu. The time of joy. What joy? Not only that Sukkot brings happiness to the person, but the Simcha that now my Teshuvah goes on the amnesty program. And what is the benefit of Teshuvah out of love? שהכל נהפך לזכויות. That even the avirot that the person did, they reverse into mitzvot. Is a crazy concept. Not crazy, Chas v'shalom. It's a beautiful concept. But it's a concept that intellectually doesn't make much sense. Like I brought the mashal the other day. The credit card company tells all your debits will become credits. It doesn't make sense. They will file for bankruptcy. They will not be able to survive. But that's basically what it is. A mitzvah is credit. An avon is debit. If I do teshuvah out of love, out of happiness, out of my own realization that I need to become better and I need to develop the true potential that God gave me, God says, thank you for listening to my message. You qualify for the amnesty program. Remember when COVID hit? You remember the PPP loans?
Yeah.
How many people paid them back?
Nobody.
There was an amnesty. Why? You borrow, you're supposed to pay back. Isn't that the proper way? You know how the Torah calls who borrows and doesn't pay back? Loveh rasha belo yeshalem. It's a pasuk. If you're not paying your debt back, you are stealing.
How?
Where?
Amnesty.
The amnesty, the government gave an amnesty.
Right.
That's a different story.
Okay.
If the government gives you the amnesty, it's beautiful. But you know what the Gra says? God gives us an amnesty. From Kippur till Hoshana Rabbah. My dear friends, I wish everyone to have a beautiful Shabbat. I'm not going into overtime, so we are able to take care of the Sukkot, of the Arbaat HaMinim. Anybody who is looking for Arbaat HaMinim or needs Arbaat HaMinim to pick them up, go outside and they will take care of you immediately. Baruch Adonai Le'olam, Amen ve'Amen. Rabbi Hananiah ben Akashia אומר, רצה הקדוש ברוך הוא לזכות את ישראל לפיכך. הרבה להם תורה מזוות שנאמר, אדוני חפש למען צדקו, יגדיל תורה וידיר. קדיש.